Truly, a sight for sore eyes. Assalamu alaikum, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello and welcome. Today I have created a showstopper, fit for your next special occasion. A 4-tiered cheesecake, stacked cheesecake. Yeah, you heard that right. Cheese. Heed my warning. I will only say this once. Cheese lovers, beware. From this point out, you are equipped with creating cheesy euphoria. Watch at your own risk, especially for my lactose intolerant followers like myself who love cheese way too much. Okay, first things first, you're gonna go to your grocery store and look for different sized rounds of cheeses. Now, you can shell out some major cash here and get some aged cheese wheels, but it's not a wedding and who am I kidding? Even if it was a wedding, I wouldn't get it. So what I picked up here is queso fresco, some brie, and some soft cheese to create my tiers. So here I'm going to be unwrapping everything and putting it on top of each other. Okay, once we have our tiers stacked up, I am going to be grabbing a plum and an apple. And the reason why I opted for these two is because, as you can see, their peels are very dark in comparison to the interior, mimicking that of a rose. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the apple and the plum away from the core. And I ended up using less apples and plums than I originally thought because I wanted to make less roses. So I ended up using about 2 apples and 2 plums. So this is the mandolin, a very classic kitchen utensil. I do not want these teeth. These teeth are just gonna give me strips of fruit. No, we're not looking for that. We're looking for sheer petals. So I'm going to be adjusting this on the thinnest, second thinnest, or third thinnest setting. As you can see here, I am cutting my plum in two, and that is only because I wanted to make sure that I was getting half moon slices instead of a full circle, so that when I roll it up, it turns into one rose. Now, if you're like me and you're learning as you go, take those full circles, those beautiful translucent full circles, and just roll them up and then cut them in half, and you have 2 roses. However, they will not be as detailed, or you will not have as much control as when you have a half moon slice, but it's okay. So play around with the first 3 settings to achieve a very translucent apple slice, as you can see here. These were perfect. Now I know they look too thin, but they do the job and they twist very nicely without breaking. One of the things we're going to do with the apples, unlike the plum, is we are going to be cooking or microwaving this. So I'm putting them into a bowl with some water and popping it into the microwave for 7 minutes. I added a little bit of cinnamon just for flavor, and unfortunately when I was doing the video, I don't know what came upon me, but I added sugar, and they just got too sticky in the microwave, and I could no longer twist them without them falling and slipping out of my hands. So when I was testing this out, Earlier that day, I did not use any sugar. I just put the water and the cinnamon and they were perfect. And they rolled up and they stayed fine and they weren't slippery. So please, if you're gonna do it, just don't use sugar. Now to create the rose, I looked for these smaller, more delicate petals to create the center of my rose. And then I took the larger or thicker petals on the outside. Now I want to take a moment to explain how important it is to add your petal where that little cross section is right there to ensure that it does not fall apart, one, and two, that it creates a very natural, realistic looking rose, as roses tend to overlap each other in that way. Now you can see why I picked a plum or an apple for that darker peel, because it gives that dimension. I also used smoked turkey. You can use anything, just get creative. I want this to be edible. I want this to be fun. The reason why is because it's food. I don't want someone to put something in their mouth or a child to put something in their mouth and it not be edible. So turkey, I've seen others use different kinds of meats or different kinds of vegetables. Cucumbers are also really nice because they contrast very nicely. You can do so many things. Even radishes are also really pretty. So here I am. Let me demonstrate this rose one more time. They can be a little bit slippery or wet, and it helps if maybe you put a tissue underneath all of the plums or underneath all the apples to absorb any of the excess moisture. So here I'm doing this a different way. I'm just cutting a line halfway through the turkey and rolling the whole thing up before cutting it and making it level with the other roses. I've created about 20 to 30 roses from the plums and a couple demonstration ones of the turkey ones, which I actually end up using in the end. Notice the roses are in different sizes, and this is going to help me in assembly to create bunches of roses that are very natural looking. So I picked some fresh mint from my backyard and the tippy tops of the mint only. And that's because I want the smallest leaves that are very, very bright and green and springy. So I'm taking off one of the rounds of breeze to put a beautiful honeycomb that I had sitting in my pantry and I didn't know what to do with it. So this was actually one of the things I did. I just kind of rummaged through my fridge and my pantry and I looked at what I had, and I found this little gem and I used it. A little cake decorating tip, guys. Establish where the front of your cake will be. And I'm using a mint leaf as a marker to let me know that this is the prettiest side of the cake and I want that facing forward. So this is the fun part now. We get to grab our pretty roses and assemble them in little bunches here and there and decide what we want to do with them. I wish I could have used my apples to create more color contrast and more interest, but with or without them, it looked absolutely stunning. I'm going to fill the entire top tier with a bed of roses. One thing I want to point out is take a look at that top tier and look at the honeycomb. It is slightly moved back. And this is something that cake decorators do to make a little bit more space for decorating, because oftentimes there's not a big difference between tier number 1 and tier number 2 and so forth. So I moved it slightly back, and I actually end up moving it to the center at the end because I did actually have just enough space for all the roses to go on it. I'm going to pinch these baby leaves out, and these are the prettiest addition to the roses because they're so tiny and they blend right in and they make the rose look just the right rose to leaf ratio. Okay, see right there? That's what I mean, how I moved the first tier slightly back, creating more room for roses. As you can see, the roses are pretty chubby, but in the end, it did end up working really nicely, which is why I moved it back. I wanted my cheesecake to be sitting on a bed of fresh mint. It smelled incredible. So I let it go all the way around the base of my cheesecake. Now I'm going to be looking back and stepping away and seeing where I need more leaves and where I need more roses. And this is the fun part for me because I really get to get out of my head and just forget everything else and just get into this. It's hard not to. Okay, so back to my pantry I went. I looked for some different stuff and I found some fresh walnuts as well. These were actually really good to munch on as I was making this. So I added that to the side. All right, let's get into this. Guys, it's edible. The honeycomb, the roses, the mint. I mean, that's a bite in and of itself. You can stop here. She's beautiful. But if you wanted to add a little bit more oomph, I'm going to add some gold leaf and some luster dust. Yes. So these are clearly well loved. They're very messy. I love to use them. And I'm just going to open that up. Look, it's almost out, but I need to get a new one. I think I'm about done with it now. I'm going to use lemon extract. Yeah, lemon extract. You can actually use clear vanilla extract, but I noticed that it leaves a very weird flavor, whereas the lemon extract does not. And I'm going to use that as a mixing medium to create a paste. So watch me coat my pretty little perfect walnut. I looked for the best looking walnut and I started to coat it. One of my tips with using this luster dust or gold dust, edible gold dust, whatever, is make sure that it's really, really thick. Like add a lot of powder. Don't be cheap with it. Add more or else the gold will just float on the surface and then the lemon extract will just stay on the bottom. Now be very, very gentle with the gold leaf. It is light as air, if not lighter than air. Oh my God. Taking a little bit of water to dampen the area I want to stick it to with a brush. I mean, the lightest amount. Oh my God. It just flew straight out of the tissue paper. I'm going to go around the edges to make that square chunk of gold look more organic and very lightly, guys. This is very, very delicate while it's still drying. So it comes off, and if you add too much water, it will roll off. So the smallest amount of water will make it stick perfectly fine. And the nice thing is, as it dries, it gets a little tougher, and so it doesn't come off as easily, which is awesome. But again, I'm going to slightly pat it to make more of an organic look to it. Look at that. It looks like it's part of it. Oh my God, cheesy gold, golden cheese. So I took my walnut and I slapped on some gold on that, some extra gold. Unfortunately, as soon as I started patting in the gold, yeah, it was not that good. It looked worse actually. So I'm actually dipping into my powdered gold to give me back a little bit more gold coverage. I used whatever lingering pieces of gold leaf to accent my roses, and I also used that paste that we created with the gold powder to accent the top roses, so nothing goes to waste. And not too much, guys. You don't want to cover up all that beautiful, rich red and burgundy colors coming through. Once your walnut is dry, take a toothpick and stick a tiny little hole without breaking it. We don't want to break it. And then pop it onto your cheesecake like a brooch. I was going for a brooch. I have some freeze-dried raspberries. I have also blueberries, but the blueberries did not crumble nicely at all. They were so messy. But look what they did for this cheesecake. I mean, it literally brought the whole thing to life. Now, you don't have to do this. You can do different combinations of stuff. I encourage you guys to go into your pantry or go into your grocery store and just look around. This is what I found, and this is what I was able to create with just a little bit of some stuff from my pantry and some stuff from the grocery store. So I actually already had these. And guys, we're done. She's done. I'm going to stop now and let you enjoy this. Hey, sorry to interrupt you and the honey drizzle, but if you're enjoying this mad food aesthetic, consider riding the wave with me and subscribe to my channel. It's free. And press that bell notification to stick around for more of this. Look, this. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Oof. Yo, wait, where did you think you were going? Have you watched my last video? It is Kakil Uts. Guys, a couple people tried it. They absolutely loved it. Give it a try. Give it a go. Or at least watch my video. Oh!